don't know.
Okay.
I
Well,
don't see it.
hi everybody. Welcome to our Love in the Time of Corona conversation. Welcome again. I'm Naomi White in Brisbane, Australia. I've got Patrizia in Pescara in Italy. I've got Patricia in Palo Alto in California and Raffi in London, England. And we are talking about the coronavirus situation and the impact on all of us in different parts of the globe. What I'm keen to understand, everything's moving so fast. There's so much information flying around. It's hard to keep track of. So what I'd love to do is just understand from everybody what's going on in the other parts of the world. What are you seeing? What are you hearing? What are you experiencing? What do you think the needs are? And today I'm particularly curious around how you're keeping yourself sane, because most of us now are confined to our homes and we're not used to being in our homes all the time, and we're perhaps not used to having children running around us all the time. Normally they'd be in school, or we're not used to having our partners around us. So I want to understand, how are we keeping ourselves sane? How are we keeping ourselves up at this point in time and not getting dragged into the fear that's circulating around the world? So perhaps if I could start, you're on the screen, Patty M in Italy. Would you like to start and let us know how you're, what you're experiencing in Italy right now?
Hello, everyone. Well, the situation in Italy is quite public. Everyone knows everything about us because our media are are spreading out news moment by moment personally. So I can talk about my situation, my personal situation. I've been in quarantine, in isolation in my house by myself because I'm divorced and my daughter is almost 20 and she moved out with a boyfriend. This makes things a little harder because there's no one around me. But also under certain aspects easier because I'm fully mastering all the spaces of my house. I can do whatever I want. I can clean if I want. And I don't clean if I don't want. I cook or not cook. It doesn't matter. And so all the time is for me. And personally, as I said also the other time, I spend a lot of time chatting with friends all around the globe, asking them how they're feeling and what's going on. And personally, I find it very, very helpful for me to help others. So if there's anything that I can do for them, even just having a chat and smiling at them and reassuring them is so good, because when you say goodbye, you can see the difference in the person that you've been talking to, different in their vibration, let's say, and they feel happier because we all need human contact. We all need to hug each other, this time virtually maybe, before we can go back and do it physically again. You know that Italians are very touchy, very hugging, and really I miss that. Really I miss that a lot. I can't even go close to my mom or to my daughter because I've been to her place twice since the beginning. Now I've been isolated for 16 days.
Wow.
And so I've seen my daughter a couple of times, but today I decided to go to the fruit store. It's a very small one, actually. I like going to small stores. They're still open because they provide food. And I've been the first one, no line. That was awesome, beautiful. So I went in and I know them very well. So we started exchanging experiences and opinions. I bought my fruit, my vegetables, and I didn't want to go home actually. But then I found the mood was good. The mood was good. Yeah. And yeah, they were kind of wondering whether they should keep open or shutting off, but they still have clients and they're giving a good service. And so I said, why should you? I mean, you have this opportunity to be around people and go on with your life as you normally do. So do it. And I would have stayed there for longer talking to them, but then I found out that there was someone waiting outside for me to go out. So,
oh no, so there's only one allowed in there at a time.
yeah, the shop is very small, so they just let one people in at a time. I was very lucky today because I had the opportunity to enter without lining and stay there for a while and exchange informations with them. And I must say that all the people that I'm talking to, they're doing quite well, and we laugh a lot. Yeah, this is the situation for me here.
And it sounds like the numbers in Italy are slowing down, or the number of infections in Italy are slowing down. So perhaps you're on top of it now.
Well, of course, it was supposed to happen, and we were waiting for it to happen. And I'm very grateful about it. Yes, I know that there's still people traveling around Italy. There's still people moving from one town to another. And sometimes it makes me a little bit mad, because whether we do it all together or we don't do it at all, we've been confined for 2 weeks, and maybe in 1 week, if we're not confined anymore, there's still someone around spreading the virus. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But of course, there is people that needs to go to work, and they're going to work. As far as they they take their precautions, it's good. That is, for instance, the other day I needed to order something, and they came to my house to my house to bring it, and they were wearing their mask, their gloves. I was doing the same, actually, for respect to them. And these people are working, and they're putting themselves in, let's say, danger. I wouldn't call it danger, but so that we can understand. And it's good that they're providing a service to the population, so that nobody feels abandoned. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Raffi, what's going on in London?
So last night there was a speech by the Prime Minister, who arrived at this situation slowly, because he's been telling the population for about 10 days, you need to respect your social distancing, you need to stay at home. But it was all suggestions, all, please do that, we would recommend you to please do that. And unfortunately, it's impossible to blame anyone but being human. We are social beings, and we find it really hard to stay away from each other. So, and also, until you touch the situation and you see in front of your eyes, and you feel your country suffering, you think it's far away, will not touch you. So this is what the Italians did when the virus was in China, and this is what the English have done until, when the virus was in Italy. And now they realize that numbers are growing here. They are 2 weeks behind Italy. Exactly 2 weeks on the same exact curve. So last night, the Prime Minister declared he didn't call it a lockdown, but all the businesses are shut, every shop, everybody is now required to be at home. Only supermarkets and food shops are open. Pharmacies and if you need to go to the doctor, you can go. But so we're following Italy very closely. 2 weeks behind, and now they're trying to, what they say, flatten the curve. They don't want the curve of people who have the virus and deaths to go too high. So staying at home flattens the curve. This is the basic message that they're giving. People are being compliant from today. I haven't been in a supermarket because it's a very stressful situation. This was the most stressful part of living this situation here. No specific instructions until last night. It was just suggestions, yet a lot of hoarding and empty shelves everywhere in every supermarket. So this is what was making people and all my friends very nervous, going to the supermarket, seeing empty shelves. So not being able to choose what you need, just buying whatever is left. So this situation has improved and will possibly improve from last night. And some supermarkets are starting to do what they are doing in Italy, which is staggering the entrance and not allowing everybody to get in at the same time. So that's very clever. I personally find it very difficult. I've been finding it difficult for a couple of weeks now because I have my 2 teenagers at home and my husband, and so I have 3 hungry men who want to eat all the time. And despite the fact that I'm a nutritionist, I don't particularly enjoy the process of cooking for other people. So it's a bit tough to have everybody in a confined space. We are still allowed here in the UK. They still say you can go out once a day to exercise. And you can go out to bring your dog out. They are not confining your outing to 200 or 300 meters, which is what they're doing in Italy at the moment. So I can go to the park, I can go to the common, which is like the countryside. And that really helps me cope. But I think one simple advice that I would give to my clients, I keep giving to my clients, both on in terms of food and eating and dealing with a stressful situation, is just simply breathing, a couple of minutes of breathing. So I've always told my clients, the way you eat is as important as what you eat. So breathing and doing some sort of nutrition yoga. So breathing, relaxing before you eat, try to breathe and take consciousness about your breathing while you're eating and after. I'm now trying to tell them to breathe as soon as they hear. If they're watching the news, breathe throughout the bad news that you're hearing. If you have a moment, just breathe. It's a very simple piece of advice that I forget to do myself, but I think it is quite helpful because some people don't have the mental space to sit down and do yoga, or they can't physically switch off. I think it would be very helpful for everyone to switch off from the news. But I think just breathing through the day, finding some mental space, even just by breathing, I think is a very, very simple piece of advice that I would give to everyone, and that is helping me.
The mindful eating is really interesting, Raffi. Is that something that you've always done? Because I think of the number of times that I'm eating while I'm working or eating on the run.
Yes, it is a huge part of the advice I give to my clients. For some reason, I've had quite a few clients who had eating disorders, so it fit perfectly into that. And about, many years ago, I was in France, and a book called The Yoga of Eating. And there is a whole, and I got a in this a long time ago. And I think there is, there are scientific basis. Obviously, we don't produce enough enzymes or not fast enough if we eat too fast, or if we do not focus on what you're eating, or if you think about something else, if we don't just stop. So our digestion and we don't metabolize what we eat, and we don't absorb the right nutrients. We do not give eating the space it deserves, the time it deserves. So just stop. It all starts with a very, very simple technique, which is before you pick up your fork, before you start eating, just breathe for a couple of minutes. And just breathe in, count into 4, breathe out, count to 5, just for 2 minutes while you're eating. Do the end of your aim, and that changes things dramatically, particularly for people who overeat or have eating disorders, or have anxiety that they towards food, or food creates anxiety, or the other way around, they bring their anxiety onto food. So breathing throughout the meal and creating some sort of ceremony around the meal. It has to be calm. You have to sit down. Maybe you lit a candle. Maybe you listen to some nice music. Is very, very good for digestion, for absorption, for using all the nutrients that are in the food that you eat.
Thanks, Rafi. And last time we spoke a couple of days ago, you were very affected by what was going on in England. How are you feeling today?
I'm still affected because I try to help my clients, but I don't help myself very well. I can't switch off from the news. That's something that Patty said to us, but I need to learn how to do that. I think it's healthy, and it comes. I read today some advice from somebody who was quarantined in China for a very long time. I don't know exactly for how long, but switching the news off is a big part of keeping your mental health during challenging time. So you need to have time without listening to the news. Just listen to the news in the evening, during the day, at a specific time, but not throughout the day. Don't let it come in. Stress that accumulates through the day. And it's very bad at doing it, and I need to stop. So I know what to do to get better. I'm better, but I'm still a little bit anxious because I'm letting this news affect me throughout the day.
Well, I'm going to come back to Patty M, because I think it'd be great for you to share some strategies on that. But if I could just jump to Patty in California for a moment. And thanks, Rafi. You want to tell us what's going on in America, Patty, and how you're dealing with the homestay?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Patty Leach. I live in Palo Alto, California. I'm a healthcare communications consultant. And we're about 8 days into what we call shelter at home here in California. California is one of the hot spots. I think we're not as bad as New York, and perhaps not as bad as Seattle. There's a few more hot spots that are brewing in the country, but the whole country in the US is on this shelter at home recommendations. Most of the schools have been closed here for at least a week. And only essential businesses open, like supermarkets, pharmacies, hardware stores, laundromats, things like that. So we're about 8 or 9 days into it. And I live at home with my husband and my son. And I think some of the best advice that I got, or I read someplace for this time, which I'm really trying to embrace, is I'm just letting go of anything that I think is normal. There is no normal right now. So for instance, my son has been sleeping until noon, and he's 14. They sleep a lot at that age anyway. But my husband and I thought, well, that's not really, it's not really good. So let's encourage him to get up at 10 a.m. Well, let me tell you, a family fight broke out, and they say there's supposed to be a lot of babies born during this time and divorces that come out of this time. So like one of the worst fights we've ever had. We all apologized very quickly, and we moved into it. And I realized, well, my husband and I thought Rocky should be normal, but that's my son. And he was saying, no, this isn't a normal time, and I want to do this my way. And that was his way of coping. So we had to let go of that. I was making waffles and bacon in the middle of the afternoon. So that's fine. One night we ate dinner at 10 o'clock at night, which I know is normal for the Europeans, but it's a little bit late for here. So we're just really kind of going at our own pace and really being conscious that each of us has our own way of coping. I clean closets. So I've cleaned out all the closets in my room, in the whole house. I put a whole boxes full of toys and clothes to give away, things like that. So we're all coping in different ways, and there's nothing normal about what's happening here, and I think that's okay. I think another way that, sorry?
You go, keep going.
Another way that we're coping that I really like is, you know, I'm really trying to only bring in the positive and spread the positive. So for instance, in my family, I have family on the East Coast, and I'm on the West Coast. We have what we call the family quarantine text, and it's grandparents, parents, kids, cousins. We're all on one text, and we can kind of give updates. It's great for like my parents who really are homebound. They're not even going to the grocery store. And so we send them pictures of our animals, pictures of ourselves, and only positive, like all the funny pictures of the dogs and the toilet paper and things like that. We really try to spread the positive. So we're bringing positive into, spreading positive into each other's lives. And I do listen to the news selectively, but honestly, I've found I don't know that, you know, besides listening to news that comes out of, you know, our government from a public health perspective, both nationally, I think Trump comes on the news every few days. And by the way, I don't know if you all are following this, but he's sort of saying that he is hoping that this will be over in a few weeks. And that's very controversial. You know, there's a lot of people that want to say, absolutely, yes, we want this to be over. But there's a whole cohort out there that say, you know, he would put the economy in front of health. So this is extremely polarized, and it's going to remain this way for a while. So, you know, spreading one extreme or the other is not my philosophy. That's going to work itself out, I think. So, so that's it. Letting go of the normal and spreading the positives are sort of, I think, that the two biggest ways that personally my family is coping here in California.
Thank you. You've raised a really interesting point around Trump. I was reading about him this morning, and it's the economy versus health. And it's really interesting from an Australian perspective. Over the last, you know, since late last week, but it's ramping up. Small businesses are under enormous strain, and the government is putting all of these rescue packages out there into the community. There's a lot of money being released to support small businesses, to support the disadvantaged, unemployed, ramp up welfare payments, etc. It's thrown the country into chaos, but certainly over the last 24 hours, I'm reading social media posts from small business owners crying on Instagram saying, please keep us open. Others saying, I've just had to let go of my staff. They're like family. And it's really interesting, economy versus health. What I'm curious about are what are the longer term health implications of the economic crash versus COVID-19? I don't know what the answer is, and I'm not making any recommendations, but you know, in these sorts of situations, the mental health load is enormous, and there can be health or worse implications from that. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway,
I don't think, you know, there's no right answer there right now. But I think, you know, for me personally, I remain hopeful that, you know, it's not going to be either the economy or health. There's going to be a middle ground there, which will be a new normal where we need to, I mean, we are all doing this, it's kind of, we're all taking one for the team to keep our elderly safe and our healthcare workers from being overwhelmed, right? So, you know, somewhere in between this, you know, getting getting businesses back up and running and still taking care and honoring our elderly and our healthcare workers, you know, I think there's going to be a new normal and a new solution. I remain hopeful for that. I don't know what it is right now, but you know, I think that we'll figure it out.
Well, one thing's for sure, normal as we knew it a few weeks back or a month back is not going to be normal going forward. It's funny you referenced the your son Rocky and wanting to sleep until 12. So I've got a 15-year-old daughter, and I said to her the other day, you know that thing you do on the weekend where you go into your room and you shut the door and you want to lie in bed for most of the day and, you know, just do your homework under the covers with the laptop propped on your lap and we don't see much of you. If you're home for 2 months, that's not going to work. So here's what we're going to be doing. We're going to start waking up earlier. We're going to start exercising. You're going to come with me for a walk. You're going to start cooking dinner. There's going to be more jobs around the house. So it is a balance, but for me, I think what's normal for her to date, which I have allowed because she's exhausted, is not going to be healthy if we're all stuck under the one roof. And what do we do at night? No, we don't retreat to our rooms. We actually play games on the floor or we watch movies together. And I think, if anything, perhaps we're all going to be closer through the process.
Yeah.
But I'm certainly seeing a lot of people working from their homes now with children around them and their partners trying to do their own work at the same time. So you're right, Patty, it's going to be divorce or relationships taken to a whole positive new place out of this. I just want to bounce back to Patty M. Can you just share what the work you do in the world, Patty, and then what advice you give to your clients?
Yes, of course. Well, normally I teach seminars and workshops around the world about, let's say, self-awareness, being conscious of ourselves, so who we really are, what we really like and want in our life. So I help people understanding who they are and what they want. And it might seem weird, but believe me, the majority of people doesn't know. They don't know what they like, really. And so it's a process of discovering oneself, going inside, going backwards when we were children to find out what we loved, what made us passionate, and start doing it again. There's people, when I ask them, what do you like doing? What gives you pleasure? They just remain without words. They don't know what to say. So this is a very important process that everyone should do. Go backwards, go inside yourself and find out what gives joy to you, what gives pleasure to you. Could be, we talked about it last time, could be singing or could be cooking, or it could be just watching a romantic movie on Netflix or whatever, on television, makes you feel good. I always say that we have a very, very efficient indication system, a system of indicators in our body. Whenever we feel good doing something, it means that's the right thing to do. If we're not feeling good doing something, change direction. It's not good for us because we are supposed to feel good. And that's our main indication system. And to go back to Rafi's question, how to avoid watching the news and getting trapped in it. Well, changing habits is always a healthy habit. We should be changing habits as much as we can, because I know it's a very, very difficult thing to do because humans are creatures that love habits. It's easier to live following habits, right? But changing them, it's very, very healthy. And it also helps us a lot with our self-esteem, because we realize that we are able to do things that we didn't even imagine we could. It happened to me, for instance, when I decided to go and walk the Camino in Spain. And at the beginning I thought, okay, I'm gonna try this, and if I don't feel like I can do it, I'll go back. Then when I was walking it, while I was walking it, I felt like I could do it, and pushed myself day by day. And at the end of it, after I've only walked 500 kilometers, not the whole thing, but it was such a good thing for myself. I was proud of myself because I had made it, you know, even though I thought I couldn't share a bedroom with other 20 people, or share a bathroom with people that I've never met before. So I understood that I could do things I never thought I could. So how do we change our habits? Starting from the smallest one, from the one that are not very important. Take the habit of changing habits. So if there's something that is not so important for you that you tend to do daily, start with that. Change that routine. Don't do it anymore. Do it differently. And then step by step, you keep on changing the biggest ones. Always following your gut's indication, because your stomach, your guts tell you if you're doing something that's good for you or if you're going in the wrong direction. Unfortunately, we've lost that ability. We don't listen very much to our body. We listen to our mind, and sometimes not even to our rational mind. We listen to our subconscious beliefs, and our subconscious beliefs are not our thoughts. They are thoughts thought by other people that we've heard so many times that have become true. And there are also thoughts of the collective consciousness that we perceive every day. So the majority of the time, we are not just focused on ourselves. We get beliefs from opinions of others, and we think they're right. But sometimes inside of us, we understand, our body tells us, no, there's something that is not pretty true for me here, or it doesn't resonate with me. It means that you should change direction and just do whatever you feel that makes you feel good, that makes you feel at peace, relaxed. So concerning the news, I've started a long time ago, actually, many years ago. I took the decision when my daughter was still living with me here, and we decided that the television should be off during the news, because we were living much better, even in normal times. Normal times, no news. You know what? If there's something that I should know, in a way or another, it arrives. It arrives to me. The important things always arrive. So there's no need to stay there, especially during your lunch, Rafi. During lunchtime or dinner time, or when family sit around the table and most of them switch on the television to listen to the news, there's no worse thing for our digestion, Rafi, right? And so when we are together, just talk or listen to music. Listening to music is the best thing we could do, as Rafi said before, or talk to each other and listen what other people have to say.
Listen to what your body is telling you too. So that's something else which will allow us to go back to understanding what food we need, and instinctive eating. I mean, going back to our instinct and understand, but in a situation of calm, not going back to the a primitive instinct that is expressed when we are in a situation of stress, but going back to understanding what our body really needs, which can be expressed in a situation of calm. So if we create calm, we can go back to understanding what our body needs, and we will not need diets that are what ruin most people, dieting, but to understanding what our body really needs. But our body can talk to us if we listen in a situation of calm, like Patty was saying. So we create calm and we start understanding and listening.
Isn't it interesting, this time we find ourselves in, though? Like a lot of people would say, I don't have time for that. I'm so busy. I'm go the whole time. I'm on 24/7. And this has been enforced on us. So we're now in a time when we're forced to be still. And we might listen to our bodies for the first time. We might get to understand what we really need, what we really want. I certainly have an easel out on my back deck with canvas there and paint beside it, and it's been sitting there collecting dust for 18 months and it hasn't been touched. So that's my challenge to myself. Patty in California, is there any last comments you want to contribute to this conversation? Any further tips that you want to add?
Not that I can think of at this time. I guess I would just kind of say, maybe we can hold a space for hope that the things that we're doing, actually will work. And, things will get back to normal again. Yes, there's, hard times that have to happen for us to get there. But, I think everyone's been talking about kind of the universal meaning of this, and going out and painting in your porch, or, sharing something positive with someone, or teaching your sons how to cook. That's to you, Raffaella, in London. Things like that are the positives that can come out of this. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Any last comments from anybody? No? Okay.
I just would like to tell everybody that this is going to be good. Everything comes for a reason. And as Patty said right now, I'm sure that the situation is teaching us a lot in many, many different ways. So let's take advantage of it.
Absolutely.
Love you.
Thank you so much.